Ace? She's like, but if even Clover Tower disappears, there is Nightmare just as Boris was there at the amusement park and that disappeared last time. She's like, there may be people here who would be there even if the castle and like the places that they stay at were gone. She's like, am I being played? Like, I am an outsider. Sorry, I forgot to switch it over. So that was him actually telling her after she said this that now the clock in this world is actually capricious. And so he's trying to explain why she would have been moved and why this actually occurs with the other people that she's seen this happen to. When their roles like are tied to a specific place, like Heart Castle for Ace, the Knight of Hearts, if they are transferred somewhere else, it's because Wonderland itself, like, is basically a clock that turns, he's telling her. And he's like, because the clock in this world is capricious, and he trails off. He explains that Wonderland, the clock, it doesn't always go in the same direction, and the terrain too can be the same, but it doesn't always go in the same direction of time. He's like, it's not a world full of hope that always goes into the future with it. This is ... He's like, something that you have come to have time to know. He's like, you'll learn this. She's like, I don't understand what you mean. And I tilted my head, but Nightmare was no more willing to scold me or explain anything. And she's like, if this is Diamond Country, I wonder if that castle decides the events for this country. Because that's how it worked in Heart Country. The Heart Castle decided the events. And from the sky above, the mushroom forest, pointing toward the castle that resembled a most distant diamond, which was illuminated by the setting sun, it is a beautiful building based on yellow. She's like, this country must always be playing games, and there are rules for those games. In the Heart Country, the owner of Clover Tower was the organizer on Heart Castle, she's talking about how in Clover Country, the owner of Clover Tower was the organizer, and then in Heart Country, the owner of Heart Castle was the organizer. And she's like, if you follow this rule, Diamond Castle should be the host in this country. He comments that I'm sure that you're getting used to it by now. Yes, in the land of Daiya, or Diamond, the queen of the Diamond Castle decides the events. And she's like, there is a queen here too? She thinks of Vivaldi, and she's like, I guess she might not be in this country. He's like, you can see for yourself what the events will be like. You might tell me if you decide to go. She's like, if you go to the first queen, you'll be able to add your head as soon as possible. I think she was taunting him back. It may be different from Vivaldi, but I have no special features other than being an outsider. So she's thinking like this might apply to herself too, that her neck might be separated from her head. And she's like, There is now a diamond castle, but there is no heart castle. Queen of Hearts, Vivaldi, she is a noble person. And she's like a noble and beautiful woman, ... She thinks to herself that I know her cute side as well and was allowed to live in the same castle, spend time together and interact with her, ... She's like, but there is no heart castle and she may not exist in this country. She's like, I'll just have to admit that, ...
ある意味、アートの女王より怖いかもしれないな。無邪気で冷酷。それがダイヤの女王だ。
Nightmare tells her that she may actually be scarier than Vivaldi, the Queen of Hearts, because the one in Daiya is innocent and ruthless. That is the Queen of Diamonds, he tells her. Innocent and ruthless. Does she try to do more threatening scares than just stating that she'll separate your neck? He tells her that her diamond is hard and resembles ice, but it also doesn't melt when heated. He comments that unlike the Queen of Hearts, she's pursuing something far more frightening than having you die. And she's like, what kind of scary thing can you do that would be scarier than having you die? She's like, something worse? I moved and wanted to get away from her as soon as possible, because they were flying over there. She's like, let's get away. Moving my line of sight away from Diamond Castle, there was a strange white building where the amusement park was in Heart Country and a forest in the Clover Country. She's like, the waterfall is flowing in the building. What is that? When I first saw it, the waterfall was falling and it looked like that, but if you look closely, the fallen water rises again and then falls. So it was like repeating. It's a mysterious building that feels like it's ringing. In addition, cubes of various sizes are attached to the building. Next to the white building, there is an even and vast site. I don't know at a distance, but there were stones. There are places that are neatly arranged, and some parts that are cluttered, but at most intervals, ... She's like, that is ... Why, I didn't think that's in this world. And she's looking at a funeral area like a cemetery. She tells him that's weird, ... What's that building where you don't know if the water is going up or down? You can see things like stone monuments around it, ... She's like, that is ... a grave marker. She's like, it's a cemetery. And she's like, there was a feeling that this was true. It's familiar to me because it was also in my world. He tells her that that is the territory of the Tomb Guard. Tomb Guard, she thinks, ... And she's like, it means the same thing. And she's like, there is a cemetery even in this world? He tells her, oh, every time I see it, I feel bad. She's like, and she thinks about this, and she's like, oh, are you asking me to take care of you, type of thing. He blushed, and then he was also like, now don't say something ominous, I'm still fine. Or ominous. And she's just like, ha. ... She's like, that's right. Someone so young is still fine. And she's like, it's not your right to enter in. And then she's like, ... And then she's like, it's normal though, if it's normal. She was commenting on like how it's normal for people that look that sick, I think, and he just cuts her off to change it. He's like, so what's your plan going forward in the meantime? She's still talking about, she's like, if you're saying that you're fine, then go to a hospital. I've told you to do so clearly already. He vomits every day, and I don't say it now, but it will be me to look after him in the near future, probably. She's like, speaking of what they're saying, the Clover Tower is gone as well, ... She's like, only Nightmare is here. And she's like, only he who is a dreamer is here. It's strange, but this comical exchange was also a salvation that only agitated me. She's like, although admission is a little frustrating, ... It was nice to have a nightmare. If you come to the hospital, she tells him, I might respect you too. He starts going on about being respected. Respect, yes, prestige, ha, is what he was saying. He tells her, you won't fool me by giving me such sweet words about respect. You'll play with me like that and have fun like that with me? And she's like, it is impossible for me to avoid harming the lightning of this human being's heart. She's like, I told him the facts, the facts. He tells her, I can't go to the hospital even if you say that. It's worse than that graveyard. She's like, I think it's a necessary place, not like the graveyard to go. Nightmare's heart seems to have been shaken a little, and she's like, but he pulls back up soon. And she thinks to herself, when will this man go to a hospital? He tells her, ... this place, it's also a museum, to change the subject. And she's like, what? What is it? And she's like, a museum at a cemetery? He tells her it's funny, but this world is full of strange things. And he's like, I don't know it well, but there seems to be an attraction to customers. And she thinks to herself, really, what a strange world, ... She's like, I turn my eyes to the number of hat shops with the nightmare explaining more in the background. She's like, I'm more concerned about the only place that doesn't change than this new place. She's like, the only place left. Conversely, everything else has changed. And she's looking at the Hatter territory, the Mad Hatter's Mafia territory. Only the Hat Mansion is the same as I know, and I'm worried that the people I live with will not be with me. She's like, if you didn't have Nightmare here, you would have been heading over there right away. Nightmare asks her, he's like, Alice, ... And she's like, no, what? Are you listening to me? Continue. He tells her, no, I did want to continue explaining to you in the mountain setting, but it's actually almost at the time limit. And she's like, limit, ... And then don't vomit here, because he's getting sick. And she's like, lastly, what is that building really quick? And she's like, the limit of Nightmare. She's like, I can't think of anything other than the fact that he'll vomit blood. And she's like, no, there's the possibility of him spitting another thing. But anyway, she's like, if you vomit blood in the air like this, it's a catastrophe. My apron dress will be stained with fresh blood, and there will be blood raining on the ground. He tells her that last building, it's a station, a train station, he tells her. She's like, a station? She's like, a cemetery building made of bricks. However, there are no tracks around this station. She's like, maybe it's a subway. And she's like, huh? She's like, I'm flirting with death and I'm going to fall, ... She's like, longer stays in the air are dangerous. If you fall from this high in the sky, you'll be taken care of at once in the graveyard that I saw earlier, ... Nightmare's like, I'm gonna vomit. It's not possible anymore, ... He's like, but I wanted to explain, ... Alright, you guys, this is going to be the end of the first video because I have to actually charge my phone. Okay.